Hello, Julie here, and glad you could join me here today. Today I'm going to make a little booklet, folder, folio, whatever you like to call it really, to go into my little golden book Cinderella journal. Now, I saw this on YouTube using the baking paper as a background, which is where I got my inspiration from, and I will link to that video down in the description box. So I'm starting off with a piece of baking paper and it is 16 inches long by the normal width of baking paper. I am folding it in halves and then I will fold it in, I'm folding it in halves along the narrow edge, and then I'll fold it in halves along the long way. Then I will fold the outside back towards that middle fold on the long edge. So I'm making like a zigzag folder. I'm making sure to burnish my folds nicely. Then I took my little booklet to my sewing machine and I stitched around the outside edge. If you wanted to create pockets, you could leave some of the top sections open. I didn't do that because I figured I had enough space on this folder to do what I wanted to do. The paper I'm using to decorate this little folder is from Craft and it's a range called Peachy. I have cut 7 pieces of pattern paper that are 3.5 by 5.5, and I have distressed the edges with a distressing tool, or you could use your scissors if you don't have one, and then I've inked around all of the edges with black ink cube. And now I'm going to use my art glitter glue to attach those papers to each panel on my little folder. Now I've only done 7 because on one of the panels I'm only going to put half a piece because I'm going to turn that into a pocket, and it will have the clear baking paper behind it, and so half of the page will be just the baking paper. So I'm going to go ahead and attach all of those. So I've chosen which panel I want to be the front, and I've cut 3 strips of pattern paper, distressed the edges of those, and now I'm going to attach them to the front panel. I have also fussy cut some flowers from that same paper, and I'm going to attach those as well. One will be attached directly flat onto the papers and one will be mounted on foam. I wasn't sure about the paper sticking to the baking paper because baking paper is supposed to not have anything stick to it, so I went to my sewing machine and I stitched each one of those panels of paper onto the baking paper just to be on the safe side. I didn't want to run the risk. Now I wanted to add a pocket to one of my panels, so I cut a piece of pattern paper 2.5 by 3.5, distressed the edges, and then used my glue to attach that to one of the panels that I had already stitched to my background. I love the sound of the baking paper, it's very crinkly. I did actually end up taking this to my sewing machine and stitching around the pocket so that it looked the same as the background. So now I'm going to make a tag to go into that little pocket. I am cutting a piece of the pattern paper 2 3/4 inches by 4.5 inches, and then I will use my little template for cutting off the corners. It's an old loyalty card that I've cut 4 different corners on to get different angles for tags, and I will distress the edges of the tag in the same way that I have done all of the pages. While I'm making tags, I make 2 others to go into those 2 original pockets that have got the baking paper behind them, and they're a bit bigger, so they're 3 inches by 4 3/4 inches, but they get the same treatment. I'm going to use my crocodile to add an eyelet to each one of those tags and a piece of coordinating ribbon. I haven't reinforced or backed those tags with anything because each one of them has a light pattern paper on the back, and I figured that that would be suitable for any journaling. So now I'm going to start to embellish the pages in my little folio. So to start with the first pocket, I'm going to add some lace, one of the fussy cut flowers, the same flowers that I used on the front page, and a little ticket. So I'm going to put this on fast forward, and I'll come back to you when I finish this page. For this second pocket, I'm using die cuts once again. They're all die cuts. One's a scallopy circle, a little flower, leaf, and a label. They are all inked and attached using liquid glue. I did add some Nuvo drops to the centre of that little flower, but they got smudged in the process of doing the other pages, so I ended up just wiping that off. One of my recent finds at the op shop is this book. Now, it was printed in March 1934. The book is ruined. I mean, it's no good as a book, but the paper in it is absolutely beautiful. It's soft, smooth, aged colour, beautiful. So anyway, I'm going to use that to decorate some of my pages. So I've cut a piece and I'm going to layer that onto the front of the pocket. Then I'm going to put a bit of lace on top of that, and then a fussy cut piece on top of that. Now for this one, I am making a belly band. So I'm cutting a strip of paper that's about 1 inch wide by about 5.5 inches long, I think. And when I looked at it, I decided it was a bit plain. So I used a stamp that I got in a kit from Paper Inspirations. I got 2 of their monthly kits, and this stamp was in one of them. And I'm going to stamp onto that strip using black ink. Now I have some of this curtain material actually, and I have coloured it using glimmer sprays, and I'm going to use a strip of that to enhance my belly band. So I'm cutting a piece that's about 1.5 inches by about 4 inches, I'm guessing, and I will attach that to my belly band underneath those flowers that I have laying there. So it will be the belly band, the curtain fabric, and then the fussy cut flowers. So I'm going to make an envelope to go under that belly band, and I'm making an envelope that measures 3¼ by 4¾ and to do that I start off with a 6.5 inch square piece of pattern paper. I just use my envelope punch to create my envelope. Now to decorate my last panel, I am making a little tuck spot here. I'm using a bit of that leftover book paper, just tearing that to about 1 inch wide, I guess, and I've got a piece of pattern paper which is the same as the piece that I used to make a pocket previously. I'm trimming that down as well, and then all of these have their edges distressed. Then I've got a ticket and in my little box of goodies, and I have a packet of 49 and Market stamps, stickers, so I have mounted that onto a piece of cardstock, and just so it's not sticky and I can play around with it, and then I'm going to use that to lay it on top of my ticket. So I'm ending up with the pattern, the book paper, the pattern paper, the ticket and the stamp, and that all creates a little tuck spot where I can tuck something underneath if I wish. Now I'm going to find a place in my journal to attach it. I'm going to use a paper clip just to attach it to the edge of a page so that the top flap will still open, and you'd have to take it out of the album, of course, to see the rest of the pages in the little folio. So that's my folio for today, my little project for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you'll give me a thumbs up and a like and a comment maybe. And if you're not already a subscriber to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe. So I hope that you've enjoyed the video and you will come back and see me again. And if you are a subscriber and you click the bell next to the subscribe button, you will be notified each time I upload a new video. So thank you and bye for now.